Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live. Got Proof of Steve up here, Baloney Bones, and Alex. My protocol, his prop 6, I believe it was, passed some time ago, last night, or depending on where you are in the world. So what we really want to do in this live stream is focus on his proposal so that we can fully understand it, what ideas there might be to add to it, and just really try to understand his proposal and what this means for all the different holders, rune holders, dual LP, savers, lenders, and kind of go from there and add clarity where we can. If you've got any questions, don't forget to drop them in the chat. So let's kind of take it. Also share this, please, if you can, but let's take it away. Alex, if you could share with us how your proposal.
Yeah. Hey, guys. So good morning or good afternoon. And yeah, proposal 6 passed already around like 8 hours ago. It was a bit crazy yesterday as the proposal was only published also late afternoon of yesterday. It is mainly kind of a mixture of a few proposals, especially or more dominantly THORChain Bulls and CryptoXZ. So shout out to them for doing also a lot of the thinking. Yeah, so essentially, in summary, the proposal converts debt to equity. That's all it does. So this is actually something that happens all the time in TradeFi and bankruptcy proceedings. Essentially, a company can be viable but have too many creditors. So now the creditors become the new shareholders of the company and get it. They have now shares, uncapped upside. Now they carry the burden of the risk, and they hope to make back what they were owed and more over the long run, right? And the company can remain viable, which is what we want here. Right. So here we're essentially getting heavily inspired by that, and by also Maya protocols passed. So Maya protocol we launched fairly, so that meant we needed to get some kind of sort of separate way to fund ourselves. So we did this second token called Maya that gets 10% of the fees over time. So we built that, and we also wanted to be more capital efficient. So we built something called liquidity nodes, where one can bond LP units. So with all of that in mind, that's kind of what went into the soup for the proposal. Essentially, what we're doing is making a token called TCY that has uncapped upside of 10% of swap fees in perpetuity forever. So it will be hard coded. 10% from swap fees go to the token. It goes to a module, and every 24 hours it will scan the TCY holders and according to their holding amounts, and just distribute a paid out in Rune. Risk-averse users can just connect daily if they like and sell the Rune for USDC, for instance, if they prefer. Now, we owe kind of like almost $200 million. So we're minting roughly 200 million, or exactly 200 million TCY, and giving them one for one, essentially. That doesn't mean it's really dollarized or like it's supposed to be $1. It will be valued in any way. Again, these are kind of shares. This is equity.
Yeah. Can I interject real quick? Who gets those 200 million TCY? Which parties?
So borrowers and savers.
Okay.
So the people savers get it according to their saving position before the freeze. Debtors get also from at the point of the freeze their collateral minus their outstanding debt. So those full amounts make up almost $200 million. So we mint 200 million TCY, give one to each, and every day they're getting paid from the fees. How long? Forever. Now, the important thing, and this is what I see people getting hung up a lot on this proposal, is they start calculating the fees and the numbers, and they say, oh, it will take this many years to get paid back if THORChain is worth this much. That's not the point. You're getting paid daily, but also the token itself is a right to get those future cash flows. So it has a value. What value? If you project THORChain's performance over the long run, let's say 10, 20, 50, whatever years, you bring it to present value with a discount. That's what the token is worth today. So the key is not that these guys are kind of getting the TCY token and they will have to, stand idle and wait to get paid. Some might if they like the instrument, but the point is that whoever wants to exit, they will have a much higher likelihood that they'll find a buyer, fresh liquidity from outside to buy them out. Why? Because it's uncapped upside, and that was the main problem with TCB's position. His bond units or whatever they were capped at 2x the debt. So a buyer could speculate and kind of buy it if it was really very, very cheap, but it wasn't like a long-term thing. You're just buying an asset that will, just be for a couple of years and then kind of expire. So that's not that attractive. So what we want is to make it very, very attractive for new buyers to then bail out the people holding the TCY originally, which were the creditors before. So we're essentially giving them equity, making the equity valuable, and then letting them sell the equity.
Right.
So in that, in one clean stroke, we washed away all the leverage from THORChain. Because remember, THORChain has a very viable business. It only just has a lot of leverage.
Right.
We wash it away, we take it out, and now we have THORChain, great and boring again, and just cranking out swap fees. Yes, we have a 10% haircut of fees in the protocol for LPs, for nodes. So how do we manage that? Okay, so this is the second part of the proposal. Now we will allow for liquidity units to be bonded. We've been doing this on Maya. Essentially, this can make you be up to 2x capital efficient. With this capital efficiency increase, you can afford that 10% easy. So actually, THORChain will not be worse off from all of this happening.
How does that impact a pure bonder? Because I know that you said they're going to happen in tandem. So is it actually beneficial to the current pure bonders, or do they still lose because of that 10% revenue coming out?
So the thing is, you have the TVL and you have the bonds, and you have all of this kind of capital across the whole protocol, right? And then you have, of the fees paid to the bond provider, some fee goes to the node operator. So you have a really big kind of surface area that needs to get paid out to make it viable to run the infrastructure. What Liquidity Nodes does is overlap a bit. So it won't be completely overlapped like on Maya, which is, I wouldn't say better. On Maya, we're even thinking of allowing people to bond cacao. If they have it and they want to bond it, go ahead, right? Okay. But on THORChain, it would be kind of like this. Some people are just LPs, some people LP and bond, some people just bond rune. But we've made the surface area smaller. What that means functionally is that the perceived APY by the players, even if the swap fees are fixed, is greater. So yes, you have a hit. Let's say the APY was going to be 10%. Now it's going to be 9% because of the 10% haircut. But because we compress the surface area, that can go up to back to 10, 11, even 12 or more. It can be up to, if everybody became over time liquidity nodes, in assuming you're in balance and economic security, it can be up to 2 times as capital efficient. So yes, you lost 10%, but now double, let's say 18%
right.
APY. You see that?
Yeah.
And we're talking about net to the protocol. Of course, there will be adjustments to each party, etc. Okay. Yeah. So that's how we wash off that 10% and make it sustainable. Right? Because again, it's forever. Now, another common thing we get. We don't like that we're paying 10% in perpetuity. It's too much. Well, debtors don't like having been stuck, and they don't like that they don't have their BTC anymore. Yeah. Nobody is gonna come out of here in one piece. We'll have scars in our knees. It's that or completely dying. We have to do something. Yeah. So I'm very glad that the proposal passed. Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, in a note on that too, is that if the revenue gets really, really big, THORChain can always buy back that TCY off the market to reduce that 10% equity that they're giving away. So it's not like it has to be this forever thing, But yeah, short term, I mean, someone's going to have to tit for tat kind of thing. THORFi blew up, so there's going to have to be something that gives. So then, okay, that takes care of savers, that takes care of lenders, the TCY. Can we focus a bit? Because I know you are limited on time.
We need to go first to retiring THORFi. So we will completely adding or removing lending, now not only from Emir, just entirely. Same with savers. We also need to retire Paul. That will create some room buy pressure. That's good. We will also retire room pool, which will also create some buy pressure. So that's good, and that will bring the ratio a bit back up from the DLP sync leverage, which from their 98% loss, maybe we get them to 95%, something like that. So that's where we start. Now with that, now we have a big chunk of savers and a small chunk of DLPs, right? That big chunk of savers, we really cannot touch it very aggressively, because over time we do need to have finished and have the people, have everybody feel that they've been paid out before we start taking the claims that are in it. If you talk about a bankruptcy proceeding or FTX, for instance, whatever, you need to keep the things there while things are getting sorted out with the business, with who gets what, etc. So we cannot really touch it. What we can do is go back in time a little bit to when the freeze happened. Because again, as you can see, the freeze is kind of like our North Star. There's a before and an after. Before the freeze, the DLP, they were choosing to remain in the protocol just because, things, they wanted them to improve. They were speculating themselves. At some point, guys, remember, many people have been at a gain. And if you had withdrawn then, you wouldn't be putting money in now. You would say, I deserve it. But now that it goes down, we want to say, oh, it's everybody's fault. No, you also have some responsibility for sticking around. And we appreciate the support, and THORChain needs you and needs everyone, but we're all on this together, is what I mean. But what we can do by going back in time is the worst part of the sync leverage happened since the freeze to here, because room went down a further 70%. So we can backtrack that a bit with the synth units to also, again, ease even more pain from the DLPs. So DLPs, again, will start at a bit of a higher point. Now, what do we do from there? Okay, number one, we will further donate them $5 million. This is not Rune being sold into the pools. This is exogenous assets, Bitcoin, ETH, whatever, being donated to the pools pro rate to their depth. Check. Number two, the fee revenue from all of that stock savers is not part of the claim. So we can take that fee revenue and pay it to the human DLPs. So now you get higher APY. Third, we will keep block rewards and just reduce them slightly over time, so that we'll keep helping DLPs out, especially since block rewards now mean something again, since Rune is not being minted to death. And finally, because you can now bond, these guys can then also put their LP units as collateral to get extra APY. So we're getting extra APY everywhere, plus a seat at the table. DLPs will finally be able to participate in THORChain's governance. We're aligning the goals of all the protocol. Now, notice something beautiful. Now everybody is just laser focused in volumes and fees. Every TCY holder, every DLP, every node who now will have bond providers that are DLPs, they just want fee revenue to go monster, go up. And a full community going out, getting integrations, talking with chains, promoting THORChain. That's what we want. Where we are all rowing in the same boat. Previously, nodes and LPs had kind of like an adversarial environment, right? Nodes were fully exposed to Rune. DLPs were leveraged. The clarity of what was important for each player was not there, and their interests weren't aligned. Now we're aligning them. An ambulance is passing by. I'm sorry.
No, we can still hear you. Great though.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the gist. There's of course many details. We suggest retiring the burn. Give that to the LPs as well, and just do this fast. Most of the code is ready. Like I'm starting to talk with the 9realms guys today. Now that the proposal passed, we're splitting tasks. But I think it's straightforward. Like this is not a months on end thing. We will do it as fast as we can, and I think it's a lift that's possible in the short term. And importantly, we're coalesced around it. 58 nodes voted in favor within 8 hours of the proposal coming out. What that tells you is there's a big desire by players around this. It's a good proposal. The community is finally aligned and joined. And I've gotten messages from previous savers, previous lenders saying, finally, I say something that can work. And yes, some DLPs are concerned. I've been addressing the concerns. It's the most important thing we have to work out with 9 realms is a split of those things with DLPs. What time, what block, everything on that regard is really very important. And we're gonna take it with the seriousness it requires. And I think it's a good proposal. And I'm very excited that we in Maya can help THORChain. We owe THORChain our existence. We're very happy to give back. Some people say we deserve this and that. No, we're good. We're just happy that the cross-chain market will remain diverse and rich and cooperative because we need every man we can get. The fight against central exchange will be fierce, and we need every builder. So.
Right. Can I might be the most normie brained person here. So in representing the normies in the crowd here. So when it comes to the DLPs, I guess I'm still just a little bit, is there a reason then that a DLP, when this proposal gets implemented, it sounds like they can bond and they can is the permanent haircut and everybody wanting to leave there? Or is it, I guess I'm still just a little bit unclear for the DLPs. What exactly still needs to be worked out, I guess.
Yeah. So look, what we need to do, being a new DLP is pretty attractive, right? You get all of these rights that we just mentioned. And that's what we want. We want to be attractive for new liquidity. Same with TCY, right? It's attractive for new buyers. DLP today will be very, very sexy. It will be attractive again. So that's great. What we need to talk about is previous DLPs. We need to give enough back that the protocol can afford, and we really do want them to stick around. Now, they will have a large incentive to do so because if we see the data, room price is low. The fee revenue right now is good because of the volatility, but there's a room to grow the volume once we go back to the basics. All of the structure we just talked about DLP, so we want them to stay around.
So eventually, they can come out of this.
Correct.
They're suffering the overhang and the Thorify of the past, but they're not going to be completely haircutted and just see you later. They can. Correct. There is a way out for them to get whole again, and then beyond is what you're saying.
And like everyone, our focus should be volumes and fees that will then translate in pool depth and thus translate in room price. We all want that. And if room price goes up because more people keep adding liquidity because it's so attractive to do so, what you get is the room ratio going back up and bringing them back into the black. Okay. So it will take time. Again, same with the TCY holders. If they want to be patient and stay and not have a haircut, they're going to have to stick around. If the DLP wants to get made whole and not get a haircut, they're going to have to stick around. If somebody's impatient and has to leave, you get a haircut. We have to align and do what the protocol can afford in order to do as best as it can for everyone. But that means everyone suffers a little. Yeah.
Okay. I do want to pass it to Baloney and or Steve in case you guys have any questions.
Yeah, thanks. I just had a question about the so the point number 3 where we're gonna make the shallow 500K rune / TCY pool with a starting price of 10 cents per TCY, and then we're gonna use 5 million in treasury funds to buy 500K per week. Is there any idea on maybe like making the schedule of the buys a little less predictable? I have zero issues with the amounts, but it's like the moment that we say like, okay, we're going to buy this much at this time, it kind of gets like front run, right? Is there any ideas on that?
I intentionally put that per week. I did kind of think and understand where you're coming from. I put per week in that every week at some time, 9ROMs is just perform a swap. We won't be like, oh, Friday at 10 in the morning. So I understand your what you say. At the price of 10 cents, I do believe it's kind of like a token launch. I do believe a lot of buying pressure will come from outside as well. So essentially, with those $5 million, what we simply guarantee a priori to TCY holders is that there will be liquidity bidding at the beginning while the things start to get trusted, get credibility. People start getting some momentum. Now, 9ROMs is buying those TCYs, and it can then keep them in the treasury for the long run.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted some clarity on that. Let somebody else talk.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Yo.
Hello everyone. Hello Alex.
Hello guys.
So I just been following a bit and to jump in and see if I can contribute on anything. But yeah, thank you actually for everyone on the community. I know it's been some tough days and some people have had very long journey and long days. So thanks for the hard work.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to.
You're on mute, Lash.
No, I was just saying. I think the TCY was originally your idea. So shout out to you for bringing that to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you guys got any thoughts, Steve, I'm gonna let you guys kind of. All my stuff. Oh, I did have one question regarding streaming swaps. I don't think was mentioned. Is there going to be any change to that at all?
No, streaming swaps works as advertised. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's a powerhouse. Shouldn't be touched.
Cool.
On the liquidity nodes, I'm really not that familiar with how they work. That's something you guys have used for Maya, right?
Yes, both TCY and liquidity nodes both have code existent already on Maya, working since almost 2 years ago. So ironclad, battle tested.
Are there any special considerations or changes that would need to be made to the bonding process to allow for liquidity to be bonded there? Anything you guys had to do with Maya?
Yeah, so memos are added so that you can now bond. When you bond Rune, you just send the Rune and you just say bond to this address. When you're bonding LP units, you're actually sending no Rune or like just gas Rune and putting bond BTC, so from the BTC pool, these many units to this address. So we're adding those bonds. As Gardex has worked on supporting bonding for Maya, it's almost there, still getting polished, but they can just take that and put it for THORChain as well. So they can put like, are you bonding Rune or LP? And if LP, okay, this is what you can do. How it works is essentially the protocol is constantly measuring the LP value in Rune terms. So for churning in, the same bond wars apply. Some people have pure Rune, some guys have DLP measured in Rune, and the one with the highest goes in. And they can have a mixture of several pools. They will probably be able to have a mixture of pure Rune and DLP in one same address as well. Yeah, you bond as a bond provider to a node operator. They have 100 slots. Everything else is pretty much the same. Now, here, it is very important that instead of accumulating in the module, we will probably see, and these are minutiae that we will work out with 9ROMs. Maybe it's not needed. But on Maya, we would pay out the Rune every churn because now that you have different, in a normal bond, Rune scales together. But in the liquidity bond, as two guys can bond 100 Rune worth, and after 3 days, one has 90 Rune and the other 110 Rune. So at the point of dividing the rewards, there is some math there to be done. That's easier if you just share the rewards more often. So it's just caveats, minutia, but there is a lot of work. People have been congratulating us with the proposal. Congratulate us when we finish. right now it's just the beginning of
Tacos at the end.
the work.
Hey, I got a question. When it comes to these LP units and bonding them, is like, let's say that you have, maybe you already answered this. I'm sorry. I'm trying to manage the talk in the chat too there. But so if I have an LP unit that has, like it's 50-50, you got some rune, let's call it 2000 rune, and then a non-rune asset, and I bond that, is it just the rune that gets counted towards the pro rata of what you're getting, or is it the dollar value?
No, the rune value of the whole thing.
The rune value of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the same as the rune quantity, right? If it's no, Boone Shake is Boone, correct me, please.
If you bond 100 rune pure, it's always 100 rune. With LP, it might start, you have 50 rune and 50 rune worth of USDC, and you pull that, and it's 100 rune when you bond it. But over time, it will fluctuate. If rune goes up, now it might you're getting since your position is rune USD, you will actually have a drop of rune amount. So now your bond is worth 98 rune, let's say. Or if USDC goes up versus rune, you might have now 102 rune. So it's fluctuating, but it's constantly taking both, looking at the ratio rune and asset, and converting into root terms to be able to compare apples to apples between the rules and the pure rune.
Awesome.
You know what's really nice about that is we were just able to explain how providing liquidity works on THORChain in like 1 minute, whereas like before all of this THORFi stuff got wrapped up, you would have had to take like a 6-hour THORChain University course to possibly understand like all the nuances, and then probably have not even really understood it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a nice thing, right? Remove the complexity, make it simple. I think also for like potential future LPs, I think that was one of the like issues going forward in the past, which is it was very difficult to predict or assess what's going to be your profitability. Were you down or not? Like, and I think we need to, once that is removed, where everything goes back to a more simple LP situation, then that is better for everyone. Everyone makes money again, and then more predictability. Simple is better.
Also, while we're on LPs, Alex, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but it was in your proposal that the liquidity that the new protocol-owned liquidity, you said that the yield will then be donated back to the DLP pools. So that'll be extra incentive. It'll help current DLPs recoup some of their haircut and be extra incentive for new LP to enter. So I like that a lot about your proposal.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot. The details will still be polished and evolve a little bit. The spirit, I think, is there, and it's what people like, and it's what we will steward. And there is a lot of work and things to work out. We will be keeping you updated as we work with 9 Realms to get this shipped. But we're very excited, and we're very happy that we could help. And we believe THORChain's greatest days are ahead. So yeah, thank you for the support, and I think you guys can keep at it. Pedro here, he's an expert already in the proposal. We've been talking about it all night, so I think he can also give a very accurate perspective of the minutia. But
yeah, I mean, can I just do the one question I guarantee some people in the chat probably want to know is the dreaded when ? Is it going to be 30 days, 60? I mean, even just like a broad sort of, because I know you've got a lot of the code. It sounds like this is pretty simplified. Is this like a 3-month thing that you foresee, or what?
I hate giving dates. Everybody knows I don't. What I can say is that a lot of the code is there, and we're working with very capable teams. So we are joining hands, pretty much all hands on deck from Maya and THORChain to get this done. So that's going forward, but we have to get it right. No need to rush out the door. We don't want to trip. We don't want to fall. We don't want to fuck it up. We've got one shot. So we are really going to take the testing and the really making sure of things seriously. And if that requires more time, it is what it is. But the importance is that we get it right.
Cool.
I just want to say one thing really quick is thank God Maya exists for one thing. Another thing is just like to speak on the simplicity of these payouts. It's once we do get it right, it's pretty automatic. Like I'm a Maya holder, and you get those payouts, it's just going to happen. So once this code is transferred over, it's going to just flow very seamlessly. So I'm glad that there's already a template in place. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, we're not experimenting here, guys. Out of all the proposals, this is not the experimental one. This is proven. We've had it work. There is a transition that we need to work out, but the end state, we know it works. So now we just gotta get there in a wise fashion. That's all. We're not experimenting here. This is not an experimental proposal. All right, guys. Thank you. Have to go. But thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to the commentary and debate still on Discord and X. It's all fun.
Yep.
Thank you so much for the proposal and your time.
Thanks, buddy.
I don't know. Do you guys want to hang out and chat? Do you guys have any further thoughts? I mean, I feel I don't have any questions particularly that weren't answered for me. So I really don't have anything else to add.
I know that Eridanis is said he was going to come here. I don't know how many minutes away that is, but I'd be interested to hear what Nine Realms has been talking about regarding this. So
I do want to push back. Like Alex spoke in favor of keeping block rewards because of the yield that'll go to DLPs, and this is, I mean, whatever it is okay. But I'm pretty convinced that the price, like the sell pressure on Rune from block rewards hurts DLPs more than the yield helps them, because the sell pressure increases impermanent loss, and so that like kind of undoes the yield, and then we're just spending yield for no reason because it like doesn't keep up with impermanent loss. Like Heimdall posted about this on Twitter this morning. I woke up and saw that, and so
yeah, he did mention that, but I'm gonna throw a layout thing in here. Whoa, look at how cool that was. Kind of cool with this many people. I've never done that before. But yeah, at least in his proposal, and this might be one of those small things that they're talking about that still needs to get worked out. He does at least say in here that this proposal is neutral, so they can be left as they are, decreased, or stopped. I guess that's probably just a piece of the conversation that they're still going to have, I'm imagining.
Right. No, and in this call, I mean, he just said, oh, we could keep it. And I understand, like, I don't think he has a strong opinion about it, but I guess I'm just throwing it out there to the community at large.
Got you.
To strongly consider the fact that Rune sell pressure, especially when Rune's paired against like Bitcoin, which like probably is just going to keep going up. Anything that is downward pressure on Rune price is just going to exacerbate impermanent loss and is going to hurt LPs. So if we want to take care of LPs, we need to do everything possible to boost Rune price. And so any Rune sell pressure should be eliminated to make sure our LPs aren't getting crushed by IL. At least that's my argument.
Yeah, is there? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think in general, like that's for most of the community, like the sentiment. But at least in my original proposal, the idea was like, there's so much uncertainty that, like you needed to take this on a stepwise approach. And the center or the initial idea was swaps are doing great, it's worth saving, but we have a huge debt. And once that debt is clear, then we can go back and thinking at some point, like, I think it was not the right time to, or at least that was my intention, was like, let's not try to fix everything at the same time, because it's like some patient is bleeding out. You need to kind of stop that and go back to a sound base. And I think that sound base was remove the lending, make LPs more profitable now, removing sin, so that will help a lot, removing that leverage. And then later maybe have that discussion once kind of the dust has settled and so on. Because like another thing that was partly the consideration was in the non-real report, there was a mention of 80 million total rewards. So 30 of those coming from swaps, but in total 80 including emissions. So somewhere close to like 40% of swaps, 60 something from emissions. But eventually those have value, and those could also be used to repay. So like, because I was thinking, there was this chart I posted about THORChain revenue being just behind Solana and Base. Well, we put everything, and some people might discuss whether emissions are revenue or not. They're not exogenous capital, but still people still like, if Rune is not going down, then there is an attractive place to for future upside. So if you give like the possibility for people to take that option of upside, at least at the beginning, I thought that was the rationale for me to say in the original proposal I put, was to say, let's just fix what needs to be fixed first, and then once we have a stable system, then let's rediscuss that. But I thought that for an external trying to assess whether it was worth to or make the protocol investable. Again, there were so many moving parts. Well, let's fix this, let's fix that, let's also change this. I think that was very difficult to move forward with, and I thought it was better to kind of simplify, get some basis, and then from there, there's still a discussion. I mean, there's always improvements, but trying to do all in once, I thought it was very difficult to achieve. At least that was my take.
What do you think, Boone?
I mean, that's certainly a valid position. Like, there's also, kind of just the exact opposite of is like, well, while we're fixing everything, might as well fix all of it. Like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and stick to. I mean, the only value THORChain has is the liquidity fees it generates. Like, block rewards don't generate any value. They don't create anything. They just move it around. And so let's just really, the basis of all of THORChain is the liquidity fees. Let's firmly place that at the center. And once that's at the center, it's only upside. And so, I mean, that's just my kind of first principles gut feeling about it. But again,
I agree with you. My thought was that if block rewards do stay in there, I think it's kind of like centralization, decentralization. When something starts centralized, it's hard to get it to move it towards decentralization. If we leave block rewards on there, at least fully as they are, I think it's been shown, at least maybe, this is just my opinion, that they're hard to reduce. But I guess if there's some sort of actual plan to do it, then maybe that's less scary to leave them in there, I guess, for some people.
So, Lush, I just sent you in the private chat, just because I think this is relevant for this conversation. In TCB's V2 proposal, and this is right before section 3, if you want to pull it up on screen. He did some calculations just on like exactly how much of block rewards are being sold and how much downward pressure on Rune is that creating. And he hasn't shared the spreadsheet. I actually just messaged him about this while you guys were talking about this. But at least by his accounting, it basically comes out to 26K Rune per day in rewards. About 70% are getting distributed to DLPs, right? And I don't know what assumption of how many of those are being sold, but he has that as at least contributing to 16.4% downward sell pressure on price annually. And then I remember I did the dashboard with Rake on the block rewards being sold to bond providers, and that was about an additional 5% of active selling pressure per year. So I'm not really sure, where that all kind of goes down to, but it definitely is a net downwards pressure on Rune price.
I mean, those people do want to sell, right? I mean, that's their income.
Listen, I'm not necessarily saying that's bad. And actually, I was going to also say, like, just in terms of the timing on this, one thing to consider is we did just lose like 30 nodes, right? So, maybe the yield is not going to be enough to make up for the downwards price pressure for LPs. But when it comes to building back kind of like the node presence that is needed to get the network to an optimum level of security, I could see a strong argument that block rewards reductions should like wait until after we're like close to fully bonded. I mean, generally, I'm in favor of trying to get rid of them as soon as possible, like most people. But I would like to personally see us get above like 110 nodes again first. But I could also be wrong. You know, maybe if there were other bond providers, they might not care about block rewards, you know, enough to really have it influence whether or not they were going to join. I just think it's a relevant part of the conversation.
It is definitely. I think like my point on here is that this is something that will need to be addressed eventually. But in the position we were in the last few days, I think like we had some time for proposals to come in. Several proposals were including removing the nodes. And I think we have to think about several stakeholders here, which are nodes, LPs, creditors, and then room holders. And let's say all the panic started because nodes started to get out, right? So we needed to find a good balance where, yes, everyone needs to take some pain to make the protocol survive, but like it cannot be all nodes now. You know, it's a very difficult job. And then we don't want them all to leave en masse, and we also don't want to completely say, oh, now LPs take all the cut, or savers or lending. Like, I think that was the difficult part to do, because there need to be a good balance on you know, like how do we share the burden, so to say. And I think the key part was thinking on everyone kind of goes forward with something that they can sustain with. So like if we go say now nodes have no block rewards, I think this is what partially also precipitated. I mean, there's so many factors, right? But one of the big things was a lot of nodes going out. If the proposal goes in, then you know not everyone runs a node that is bare metals. If they do, it's much cheaper. But if they do it on cloud, it's several thousands of dollars per month. And then on a falling knife, I mean, that was kind of the worst situation to be in. So I think in general, it's you and I in the community. I also personally think eventually we need to kind of have obsolescence planned, where we say once we get to certain nodes, once we get the debt is gone and now we're kind of stable, now we should now say that there's a time for this to be rediscussed and go down. That's just my opinion, and that's how I thought about it when
yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, there's strong arguments on both sides. I was gonna throw this out in the Discord before hopping on this call, but it'd be interesting just to have the nodes vote on whether they'd be interested in eliminating block rewards or not, because I've seen several node operators say they're in favor of eliminating block rewards. So, I mean, if a good number of node operators are for it, or even a majority, then maybe we can just go ahead. And or if they're mostly opposed, then we just wait. So, yeah, I appreciate your perspective.
Guys, sorry, I got to jump, but thanks everybody for having this conversation, and thanks Lush for putting this together. Really informative.
Man, no, THORChain, you need baloney. Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks.
All right, everybody have a good day. Bye.
Just brought on Grok Enjoyer. I think he might have something he wants to chip in with on this chat. Grok Enjoyer, you there? Can't hear you. And it looks like you are not muted. Yeah, but I agree with you, Boone. I think,
GM, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah. Now I got you. Now you got you.
Oh, hold on. I think I muted everything.
Can you hear? Oh, yeah, that's Boone. I like the idea of going to a node operator vote just to signal, because I wonder if it's like a minority of nodes that want to keep the block reward. So maybe actually getting that exposed of like what percentage would be in favor versus not would just be a good temp check, you know? Grok.
You're not muted.
Yeah, we can hear you typing, Grok. He's probably hitting like somewhere in a chat, like, "Hey." He can't hear for some reason.
With his alt.
Yeah, he can't hear us. He's got to work on that on his end for some reason.
Hey, Lush, will you do a favor? And so, Impossible Hunter sent me the liquidity nodes page from the Maya docs, just so folks can read over what a liquidity node is, does, details about it. I sent you that in the private chat. It's a good thing to learn about. And they have an ELI 5 page, which should be
got it.
pretty easy. Thank you, buddy.
Yep.
Hello, GM. Is this working now?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay, great. Hey, hi guys.
What's up?
Oh, I think to be honest, I think I'm showing up quite late. Yeah, I messed up the time zones. I thought this was happening a bit later, but I thought you guys were gonna go over a bunch of proposals, but I guess it's already passed since Alex's has been accepted, right?
Yep. So really this was just, Alex was on here for the first, I think like 25 minutes or so, just clearing any sort of questions that at least we could come up with about his proposal. There's still like some little nuances that I guess are going to be figured out, but for the most part, it seemed pretty straightforward to me. And I'm like the normie brain of the group, so I don't know. Do you have any questions about it that you were unsure of, or just general things to talk about?
Well, the only thing I've been bringing up has been just advocating for the DLPs, and the main thing I bring up about this one is the same as with TCBs, which is that the protocol is taking all the assets in the pools that are redeemable through the synth units. And like as it is, that kind of leaves like specifically the Bitcoin pool, they're going to be down like 98% if they seize it all. And I'm pretty explicit when I say seize, because like that's kind of what's going on. Most other people have not been using that terminology, but like those are user deposited funds, like all of them, right?
When we get into the synths, this is the part that goes over my head when it comes to the THORChain stuff. But the way that Alex, or Alux as you guys call him, I guess I need to start calling him Alux. But he mentioned that the dual LPs, because I asked him I think twice to try to get clarity on the haircut thing for the dual LPs, and he was saying that they could still be made whole from where they're going to be starting from. So I don't know, like the terminology of seized. I'm just not clear about the technicals of are funds changing vaults or ownership or anything like this. It sounded like he was saying it would sort of restart at 0, and some DLPs, obviously the ones that have been here for a while that have been hurt by ILP, they're still going to have a permanent loss. They're still going to have to work through that over time to be made whole. And new DLPs are just starting off fresh. But in terms of seizing and synths and maybe some technicals there, do you guys have anything that you can help him or have anything to add to that?
He's not wrong. He's got it right.
Okay. So
I think there was an exchange between him and Orion that they will try to see what can be done here, but I don't know. I don't think there's any. This is where more specifics will come.
Like this is actually the key difference between the major proposals like TCBs and 9 Realms. It's just how to deal with the synth unit redemptions. Like the key point is that the assets exist, the ones backed by the synth units. They are there, they do exist. It's just like, how do you redeem them? Because it requires selling runes. So the 9 Realms proposal was about just slow it down, make it real slow, offer haircuts if people want to get out early. I mean, obviously it's too late now, we're past that. But all the other like quick and easy, simple proposals, the reason they are simple is because they're bypassing this synth redemption thing and just, like I said, seizing the assets. That is what makes these proposals simple.
Yeah, man. What you guys got? Any? I don't know the pros cons. That, like I said, that part goes over my head technically.
I mean, I'm gonna write down that note and follow up with that afterwards. If Alex was still here, I'm sure he could speak to it. But it's definitely something that, like, again, the proposal as it is, that passed, still, like Alex was speaking to, it needs refinement in certain aspects. So, like, it could.
You want me to get into like the synth thing? I mean, I think I could explain it reasonably easily.
Can I just ask one more, Norm? Yeah, I would. Can I just ask one more, Grok? Because maybe I'm just unclear as a normie. What is the negative sentiment. I know that you're saying it's seizing the assets, but so that only affects the dual LPs. It sounds like.
Can I try to clarify this?
Yeah.
Okay. Due to the design of cents, so before cents, which are synthetic assets in THORChain, that's what cent is short for, there was only LP units, which would track an LP position in the pools. With the introduction of cents, they created a accounting fiction that was realized by the creation of synth units, which is a new kind of pool unit. So now pool units, which represent your share of the underlying assets in the pool, are LP units plus synth units. But the synth units are dynamic. They change every block, and it's a calculation. And the calculation ensures that the synthetic assets share of the pool is always equal to one. Let's say if their position was 1 Bitcoin, it's always equal to 1 Bitcoin. But the assets that represent that position is always half Bitcoin and half Rune. And so as Rune has sold off, they in order to maintain 1 Bitcoin, they need a bigger and bigger and bigger chunk of the pool. And they do that at the expense of the DLPs. And so the DLPs have had their positions shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And so what Grok is saying is if we snapshot the pool as it is now, the DLPs are stuck with their little tiny bit left because the synths have eaten so much of the pool. Like they have claimed so much of the pool. And that's a valid concern. That is how it's written right now. And yeah, it's very real. I don't think Alex spoke as to why he wrote it that way. I know in TCB's proposal, the reason he had it that way is due to legal concerns. Maybe it's the same thing. This is something, but I agree with Grok. It's somewhat arbitrary since the protocol is taking these assets instead of, to be technical, what's kind of happening is the protocol would say all the synth units get converted to LP units and then kept with the saver's liquidity. If you instead just deleted the synth units, then that would retroactively undo all of the shrinking of the DLPs, and their capital would expand and it would get unshrunk. So it's how you divvy up the capital is kind of up for grabs if the protocol is going to take it. I think that's like the best way I can try to present what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you mind? I'll add my. I guess I'm clearly biased towards trying to help out DLPs and word things in a way that is favorable to DLPs. But another way of looking at the expenses is that when the protocol seizes the assets, it means the DLPs will have locked in the payment for them, so it locks in their paying for it, and then with the yield bearing token, like whichever one we end up using in the future, it will mean that yield comes out of the DLPs as well. So to me, it seems like they pay 2 times.
I think maybe that's what Alex was trying to address by saying that they can bond with the LP units, though, maybe, is that they'll be able to get the fees from their LP position and then also bond some. So they would maybe...
Though if they lose 98% of their position, there's no point in the future yield. Because they paid for it in the past, and then they pay for it in the future, while the benefit of the seized liquidity going to future participants, not those affected by the past.
Gotcha.
I think here the key part is...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think here the key part is what is making this is the synth part, which is what is represented by savers and those others. And I think here the detail will matter, but I mean that's why like that part now is converted and then kind of gone. The question is how do you make the math so that what Boone was saying, that people can their proportional share of the pool is then accounted correctly, because if those things now are, let's say, paid off with the yield bearing token, those positions are no longer there, and then the pool should be distributed among EDLPs. So the idea is keep the DLPs, keep the nodes, and that's why like there was a further incentive for DLPs going forward, like the 5 million in the proposal. But I think that's the core of it. Like the exact numbers and how that gets implemented in code needs to be discussed. But like the idea is, SINs got massive leverage, which ate on, and then once those SINs are now, let's say, redeemed by the yield bearing token, those claims are not, you cannot have the yield bearing token and the claim on the DLP. So basically the idea is the claim of your SINs gets now redeemed by the yield token, and now the DLPs can breathe because that's gone so, or like, you know, gets paid. Let the market find the right price, a price for the yield bearing token, maybe get repaid earlier, and then those accounting be without the SINs and then distribute accordingly. I think that is the sentiment. The specifics on how to the actual implementation need to be shared, and I think that was the idea.
Okay, so there is still like a path forward for it to not be this way while still keeping like the core of this proposal intact. Okay.
I don't think all of it is locked in.
Right.
They are discussing some of the details of the 9 realms. Like I think someone even posted like an idea of favor shrimp and disfavor whales, and that was like from a 9 realms account. So they are like trying to tweak some things.
Okay, sweet. Well, hopefully then everyone can be somewhat taken care of with it, and no one gets, you know, the short end of the stick, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, I have a speculative question for you, Boone. So TCB's proposal also included seizing the assets behind the synth units and freezing them. And he said there were, you know, legal uncertainties and that it must be frozen and unused. No, you know what I mean? Frozen and unused because of legal concerns. And if a court ever, you know, sees the case, they can figure out what to do with it. Why do you think he was able to hop on board Alex's proposal, considering he doesn't freeze those assets but puts them to work for future participants?
I mean, you're asking me to speak for someone else. If I had to guess, and I don't want to do that, but if I had to guess, since it's not his, like TCB isn't behind Alex's proposal, he's not legally responsible for it. So he doesn't bear the legal concern would be my guess, but I have no idea.
Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? I would like to get. I was kind of trying to. What do you think, Baloney, in terms of getting someone from 9 realms to come in and hopefully chime in?
Eridanus, come.
Eridanus, if you're out there, por favor, senor.
Yeah, it would be great to have him. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you know, we've been going for an hour, so.
Yeah, we could always do another one of these if he just wants to come on. And now I hope people are getting familiar with the format. If you would like to come on, if you're a community member, just like with Spaces, just shoot me a DM while these are going on. I'll invite you. You come up in the guest. You can. These guys are either choosing to have a PFP like Steve and Grok, or you can just show your face if you want to, and then I just bring you up, and then here you are chatting. So just like Spaces, you can come on for these. But yeah, if we got 9 realms on another Spaces, you guys can obviously Boone, you know, Crypto XC, Grok, everybody can come join in on that chat and we can do it again. But I guess for right now, unless anyone else has anything they would like to add, I'm looking to possibly just end this here. What do you think, Baloney?
That sounds good to me, man. I mean, it's literally like on the dot. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to get out of here. Thanks for chatting, everybody.
I appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah,
if you could, wherever you're watching this, please do like it, share it, and all of that. Boone was like, peace out, I'm gone. But that's it. This was a good one, and see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, bye.
Thanks, guys.